Hi everyone, I'm Maddie.
And I'm Amber.
And we're Witches Talking Tarot. And today we're going to be talking about some major arcana cards where we left off in our part 2 of the major arcana.
It's the third tier of tarot.
And I think that was season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this is our first season.
Yes, this is our first season 3 tarot episode, which I don't know if I'm so excited about that or because it's got the moon. But I'm excited.
We got some really fun cards. I thought that was Jan. It's the shirts. It's the shirts they wear. It's gotta.
Well, she often is wearing his shirt.
Oh. Anyway.
Somebody was sneaking in. It's all good. It's all good.
So I'm gonna let Amber start out with these cards because, I know this card is her favorite in the deck. She's constantly telling me.
Well, it's not my favorite, but I love So, you ever have those things where stuff just clicks into place, and once it clicks into place, you're like, it gives you this great joy that you never knew existed about this thing before, right? And that is how I feel about the Temperance card. So, we're going to be starting out with Temperance, which is number 14 of the major arcana.
And we're going to be looking at our books. Just a disclaimer for our YouTubers.
I don't know the numbers off the top of my motherfucking head.
Exactly. I don't know.
And I don't know them in order. So I
don't
have
keep my
to see
cards in order because I actually use my cards.
Right.
And I'm not about to put them in order every single time.
Well, because then you have to reshuffle them. Because you don't want it to just start out in a specific order because it's going to affect the reading.
Exactly.
Well, the new way I pick my cards, I guess it wouldn't necessarily affect the reading as much. But anyway, that we digress. Temperance. So, Temperance. Temperance is a card that brings us the energy and thoughts of we have to be full of temperance. We have to embody temperance. Temperance is tempering the water with wine, tempering the wine with water. So in the olden times, we had water that was full of germs that our gut bacteria couldn't handle. And we had wine that we could drink, but if we drank it all day, we'd be fucking drunk all the time, which might be fun sometimes, but not all the time.
Not when you have to survive.
Right, exactly. Life was much more dangerous back then, so being intoxicated all the time was even more dangerous. Okay, so Temperance, you added the water to the wine, so the water is now safe to drink and the wine doesn't make you drunk. And the Temperance card gives us that same energy of taking the good and the bad and making something better out of it.
And finding that balance.
And finding that balance. And it's also about, think about it, because, I'm pretty sure in the Game of Thrones deck, it's Sam, right?
Yes,
and he's,
Sam.
learning. So, it's Temperance of using what you know versus using what you learn and putting them together, because that is wisdom. Y'all.
Well, and what I love about my Game of Thrones deck is it says right here, moderation as well. And I think that goes really well with what you were saying. Alcohol's safe in moderation. We can't be drinking all the time, but you know what I mean?
And what I also love about that is, it's in that next step in that whole cycle that the major arcana takes us through, because when we ended with death, we were ending something that's not good for us. So in Temperance, we are learning to grow from those things. We are learning to be moderate with our consumption. We are learning to be balanced in our life, because we have left that which no longer serves us in the death stage. So in Temperance, we're all about learning and making better choices. Sorry, I just love the
I love
story
it. I do, because I turned the page to the Devil, which is the next card.
Yes!
And I love this card because I think that this card right here
it goes so well with death and then Temperance and then the Devil.
Well, and the Devil card is all about addictions, temptations, power, anger, lust. It's all about those things. It makes me wonder, with the Temperance card, okay, maybe we didn't put as much balance as we should have in some things.
Well, or it goes back to that moderation piece and that would be the balance because we're not watering our wine down enough.
Exactly.
We're not being moderate enough in that piece. But at the same time, I feel like you kind of go from a place, like we often see in life, you almost get ahead of yourself, right? You're like, oh, I'm in a good place.
Yes, exactly.
And so then you fall into the traps
of the ego and temptation.
Yes, the ego and the devil.
And it's like the devil
can... I'm sorry.
No, I do. I love it too because it also is materialism. And materialism, again, you're falling into that trap.
Exactly. Because
which I just want to say, I feel like a lot of fucking a lot of spiritual gurus, not to get off on this, are in their devil stage because they're
falling into that temptation trap of like, oh, everybody looks to me and blah, blah, blah. And it's so funny because I just had somebody like saying to me last night, like, why do you not like it when I say we're in a coven? And I was like, because I'm not about that. That's not me.
That's
not,
like a lot of people don't know the true definition.
Right. And I don't actually know the true definition. Mm-hmm. All I know is what I do know, which is usually it's a high priestess and a high priest, and they tell you exactly how to live your fucking life. And that's not what I'm about at all. And even though I have some people that now refer to me as a high priestess, and it's like really honoring, I'm not about coven life. I'm not about that. I'm never going to I will tell you guys what I think and how I think you should be, but if you pay attention, I always follow it up with like, I will not tell you how to practice your path. This is what I think should happen, right? And so I'm like, I'm not about that life. And they were like, well, it's not really your choice. We like all look up to you. And I was like,
I'm not like that.
No, it is still my choice because I'm not a coven person. And it's that devil temptation piece. Like, it was right in front of me. I could have been like, yes, worship me. Guys, you don't know this. Maddie and I have had talks where I'm like, I am afraid to be perceived as a cult leader ever in the way I behave. Because when you pay attention to just on paper, some of the behaviors maybe can overlap with spiritual leaders. And it's like, I never, ever want to fall into that trap. And I was thinking about that during this conversation because I was like, no, it's totally my fucking choice. Just like it's not your choice to tell me I'm in a coven.
No, I agree completely. Like, I adore the idea of a coven. I would love to eventually have a coven. But for me, covens is not something you just randomly say. It's not something that you say, oh, you're a part of, whether you like it or not. Right. You know what I mean? Right. Absolutely not. Right. And for
I accept the roles that I accept as who I am and the mission I have in this life. But
I would be in a coven with, for example, my cousin, who's also a practitioner. We're family. You know what I mean? Like, we're not... To me, a coven is just... I think it's beautiful. I do. But I think it's something people take lightly.
Now, my only mental connotation for coven is the high priestess telling everybody how to live their lives. That's basically, like, my mental takeaway for a coven. So I have negative thoughts.
So, like, for me, for coven, I see it as there is no specific high priestess.
Everything I've ever read about a coven has there's a the people in charge and then everybody else does what they say.
See, I don't like that.
It's so culty.
Yeah, I don't like that. I believe that's definitely very Wiccan. Very Wiccan.
Yes,
coven.
Absolutely. I've only
for me personally, because I think coven is it's unique to the people a part of the coven. For me, it is a group of witches, preferably family, which is why I mentioned my cousin, you know what I mean, who get together and they practice together. And maybe it's like, hey, I really need a strong protection spell. Will you help me with this? Yes. And it's just a group of witches that just come together. There's no one on top, one on top, one on top, one on top. For me, this is just my version. Granted, what you're referring to, absolutely with the Wiccan covens.
Yeah, because like that's all I know about them.
There's a high priest and there's a high priestess, and they lead the thing. Now, for me, like being a coven is very much equal, and it's like, oh, you can lead this ritual this month, and I'll lead the one next month. It's very personal. Granted, I started out like with my mentor, you know what I mean? Like I just learned different things differently, you know what I mean? And I think
Well, and I mean, you could look at Coven like, American Horror Story Coven, but they do have the Supreme. So they still have still have a hierarchy.
Right.
It's less structured as everything that I've read. Yeah. And that's more okay, I guess, in my book. But at the same time, I'm not about any kind of grouping of individuals where one person tells everybody how they have to be.
I don't like that. No.
I can't truck with that.
I like groups of women who are of people who are equal, because
I can truck with that.
Witches we're the same, y'all.
Everybody's path is valid.
We're all our own high priestesses. That's what I think. We're learning. We're our own spiritual leaders for our own path. Sorry to get off on this.
Yeah, sorry. It was just it made me, the devil thing and the falling into the trap, it made me
We should just do a full episode on covens. We'd have to, do research covens throughout the centuries. Yeah, that'd be cool. Because I could talk about that forever. Because I have my own ideas. You have your
I guess maybe I could develop better ideas. I just have negative connotations. Oh my God!
Because of what
Speaking of negative connotations, the tower is next.
This is my least favorite
card.
I
know. That's why I was like, how ironic.
Favorite card. It's not.
I do not hate the tower. It shakes your goddamn life up. The tower is the tower crumbling and falling out from under you because your whole world is changing, homie.
Bran fell off the fucking tower in my Game of Thrones deck, and his whole life changed. But for me,
it's all gone.
I don't like change. I am a creature of habit. And that's why I don't like the tower card, because I fucking hate change, and it literally means great change that's gonna shake up your fucking world, just like you said. But let's look at the story, right? So we start out with Temperance, and then we fall into that ego and materialistic. The universe will smack your ass back down. Yeah,
because it's changing your whole fucking world.
Okay,
and it's gonna be turned upside down and topsy-turvy, and you gotta find a whole new fucking path. And when it's reversed, you really, really, really don't want it.
Yeah.
I mean, you never want the tower. It is for the better, like Maddie said. Right. It's for your better.
It's for example, illumination is put here. It's literally the universe forcing you to see some shit. So things are going to be illuminated, but not in I see now type way. And
when the walls break down. Yeah, exactly. When the walls break down, all you can do is see, because it's all in front of you. It's all around you. All you can do is fucking see that change.
So honestly,
and the change that's coming, and the change that you should have made way back that you can now see, because the walls are down, so you can see right behind you.
And the next card is the star, and you say that, and I'm thinking, okay, so we're standing in the rubble of the fallen tower. There is ash everywhere. There's dirt everywhere, and you're like, oh my God, my life has been destroyed. And then what do you see?
The star, the hope. There is still light at the end of the tunnel.
You just needed to,
You just had to have all your shit cleared the fuck up for you. So does that mean the moon is after the star?
Yes. And the star,
which is so fucking amazing, because the moon... I'm so excited for the moon. The moon shows us that which we don't always see. It illuminates for us. It shows us that which is hidden in the shadows.
The unconscious
It shows us that which we're scared of.
Yes.
Yes. It brings to light all that we don't know. In my Game of Thrones deck, no, I'm sorry, you have the Game of Thrones deck. In my Lord of the Rings deck, the moon card is Galadriel's mirror, because any Lord of the Rings fan knows that Galadriel's mirror shows us that which has been and that which may come to be. And the moon card is that. It illuminates so that the things that we knew nothing about are coming to light in our life, because the tower got fucking broke down castle, guys, broke down palace. Shout out.
Then we start to see the star, and we're walking,
the star and the light. And then the moon illuminates everything.
And I love this.
It shows us the coyotes and the wild dogs on our path. Because usually there's a little dog and a little coyote, and they're howling at the moon. And that's to represent our fears, our innate fears as humans. I fucking love the moon card,
You may discover your true path and the work you were meant to do. So we had to go through this destruction. We had to go through all of this. It was all so necessary.
Isn't this the sun?
The sun is next.
Because
and the sun is
sun
success.
is shining.
Yes, success, optimism, achievement. So we had to go through all this horrible shit, and I'm going to call it horrible shit because I fucking hate change. To keep walking through the light at the end of the tunnel, to reach the...
to have everything shown to us that we're missing in our lives by the moon.
We see
now
with truth.
Yes, because the sun rises after the moon shows us that which we have been missing for whatever reason. Maybe we're afraid of it. Maybe it was hidden from our sight by another. Maybe it's something that, we have a calling to and we just got illuminated by the moon to. And then the sun rises on all of that.
Yes,
and it shines further light on it. And it doesn't just give us the hope that the star brings. It is the hope that the star showed you, because the sun is what grows the crops and what makes us prosperous and successful. I'm sorry.
So
I love this part of the arcana.
No, me too. So the thing about the sun card is reversed. It's not bad either. It just means you may need to wait a little longer to fully step into.
Exactly.
So it's
Thank you, because I was going to say, even reverse, the sun's not a bad fucking card.
Yes.
It's just all about... my favorite thing to say when I pull the sun card is, the sun is shining down upon you.
It's true.
It's true.
And then the next card is Judgment, which I hate, if I'm going to be honest with you, because it's like record scratch. But your past is still not forgotten. You know what I mean? You're still, and you're going to be judged fairly for things you may have done. And it reminds me, I'm sorry, please go ahead.
Good. No, go for it.
It reminds me that the past happened, and whatever has happened. It's second chances, it's memories, it's also feeling guilt.
Rebirth.
And
you say second chances. When I see Judgment, one of the biggest things that I always immediately, unless something else hot take happens, but otherwise the Judgment card for me is it's representative of karma, it's representative of a second chance, it's representative of being able to be born anew, because you just went through this entire journey.
Baptism. It's the baptism card. It really is.
Pagan. Yeah. And what I mean by, the whole journey. You've gone through it.
You're forgiving
You have been
yourself.
changed as a person. You are now a new version of you, because you've gone through all these different trials and tribulations, and you are no longer the same being that took that first step in the Fool card. And you also have much more journeying ahead of you, because we may be finishing out the major arcana, but we're still going to be going through the different suits, because they all have a story too. But I love that about the Judgment card, because not only is it judgment, you will be judged fairly, unless it's reversed, in which case not necessarily.
Well, and the reverse card says the past disrupts the present, which is you're
not making that growth. You're not you're
not
judging
moving
on
too
from
harshly.
one person to the next.
Yes, judging yourself too harshly and feeling guilty about the past instead of letting it go.
Right. Which, because again, if you go through the journey of the major arcana from start to finish, you're going to learn so much. You won't be judging yourself too harshly. You won't be giving yourself these hard lessons or these hard words or this tough love or, self deprecation, because as you made your way through the Hanged Man and as you made your way through the devil, you understood new lessons in life. So once you get to this place of judgment, if you fully learned all your lessons, you don't have to judge yourself harshly, because you have this deeper level of understanding. And that is what I love. The day that I understood the story that fucking tarot tells.
And honestly, doing these things help just me get it. I mean, I read tarot, obviously, but, really looking at the story, you know what I mean? Doing these episodes are great. And the last card in the major arcana is the World. And this is an amazing card, because we've gone through this journey, and what now? The world is at your feet.
Spinning.
Yep. The world is at your feet.
Yep, and it keeps on spinning. you're walking on top of it. It's not
Yes.
rolling you over.
It's completion, it's success, it's reward, it's expansion, it's everything that you worked so hard for. All this journey that you went through with this major arcana, we're reaching where enlightenment.
Yes.
Yes, that's what I would call it. It's fulfillment and success.
It's not necessarily nirvana, but it is definitely like the best level of samsara you can get to.
Now, when it is reversed, it means
card.
maybe you should take a look at yourself, and do you need to go through and work on judgment, judgment of yourself, of your past. Are you still in that tarot card era that you need to see the light at the end of the tunnel? Like it's telling you to kind of stop, go back, and then start over. Not completely over, but find where you got,
because essentially when it's reversed, you're not on top of the world.
Yes,
it's rolling past you. You're missing opportunities. You're not paying enough attention. You're not putting in the work.
Well, and it could also be, this may be due to perfectionism. So maybe you're wanting things to be perfect and not seeing them for how perfect that they are. You know what I'm saying?
Because I like the sayings that God is in the details and things like that, because when we look closely at the details is when we start to see the imperfections. And perfectionism can fuck you up. God is in the details. The little details are where you see the flaws, right? And we are God. I am God. You are God. Maddie is God. We are the universe. Exactly. And so those little flaws are actually very important.
They're divine.
They are divine. I love that. They are divine. But okay, think about if you have something that is too smooth. Nothing, there's no friction that can be had with it. It's too smooth. Nothing can grip it. It's too smooth. So everything
you can't start a fire.
You can't start a fire. You can't collect rainwater with it because everything just slips right out. But basically, all the opportunities just slide right over it. It slides right past it because there's no little nicks or notches to catch a thing. There's nothing to help that journey happen. It's just missing out because it's too concerned with being perfect that everything washes over it instead of grabbing it and taking it along. Because that's the only way that stones move is by the water grabbing them, or people. But inanimate things, they actually need those little imperfections to be able to go anywhere other than where they are.
Yeah.
I don't know, it just made sense to what she was saying. It's came out, guys.
So we are finished with the major arcana, which means our next one will be swords, right?
Are we starting with swords?
Mine says swords.
I mean, we can start with swords.
Okay, cool.
That would be fine with me.
And
swords is air. Damn it.
Do you want to start with something else?
Well, it just doesn't work for what I was going to say, but it doesn't matter.
Oh,
because,
okay.
Yeah.
That's all about thoughts, conflict, and decisions, and that'll be really fun. I'm really excited.
Yeah, and what I like about it is we're going to see how each of the minor arcana has a story, and their story plays out similar to each other each step of the way, but differently. And that is the exciting part for me, is that we're going to go through the story, but then we get to see the similarities and the differences among the different suits, because it's a different story, but it's the same story. So, Maddie, what's your favorite major arcana card?
Major arcana?
Major
Lovers.
arcana. The Lovers.
I love the Lovers, but I feel like there's another one. What is the other one that I love so much? Oh, and the Fool. Okay, JK, not the Lovers. I love the Fool. The Fool is my absolute favorite. Love it. Which is where we start our journey. What's your favorite, Amber?
Guys, I hate picking favorites. It's so hard. What is my favorite major arcana? I love the Magician and the Hierophant. No, the Magician and the Hermit together, because the magician and the hermit are the same guy. The hermit is the magician, all grown up, taking everything that he's learned and putting it out into the world. But I also love the Temperance card. It's not my favorite, though. I really love the moon. It's so hard to pick a favorite.
It is so hard to pick a favorite tarot card. I have a couple favorites.
Hold on. I gotta think about this. What, guys? What's your favorite major arcana tarot card? Am I really gonna say the Tower? I don't know. I can't say the Tower. I really love the Tower. I really love Hanged Man. I really love the Hermit. All right, in honor of Led Zeppelin, we're going to go Hermit. The Hermit. The Hermit holding his lantern. The Hermit. And if you got the Led Zeppelin reference, peace be with you, my friend. Love that shit. But seriously, I want to know what you guys' favorite major arcana tarot cards are. So, like, if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and just tell us what your favorite major arcana cards are. If you can't decide, leave us a couple different comments with each one and why. It helps our algorithm, and you get to share your love of tarot. Win-win.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. We're going to give a big shout out to our patrons. Hey, Melissa.
Hey, Victoria.
Hey, Pam.
Hey, Death by DVD.
Thank you so much for supporting us. If you're interested in doing the same, you can find us on Patreon, Witches Talking Tarot.
Yes, and if you want to find us on the socials, we are on most of the socials at Witches Talking Tarot, although on X, we are the classiest, or we're at Classiest Witches because we are the classiest witches, you know. So thanks for coming
sitting with us.
That's a spell.